Um, Fonse?
Yes, I mean, I share Supervisor Miller's comments and Jay's comments, but again, are we, can we even do anything like that in just for process wise? Again, right now, what we have on the agenda is to approve the extension. If the discussion is to maybe look at an agreement and come back on the RFP, is this item still necessary, or do we just say, hey, we'll go through the 1 year extension and then go out for an RFP? Process wise, I'm not sure. Again, what you have agendized right now is just to approve the extension.
Pull up the agenda really quickly because I only have it electronically. So our agenda says current agreement expiration and considerations. So I think that probably leaves us some room for the committee to give me some input to make that determination if we're going to do a 1 year, a 3 year, a 5 year. And if we do the 1 year or even the 3 year, then what is our RFP? So it sounds like, at least from the first three of you have spoken, that we're really contemplating a 1 year extension to give us time to do the RFP. I'll make sure we get everybody's feedback, but that's the feedback I'm hearing from the first three people.
That's consistent with me, Brandy. And what I would also add, completely in the other direction, is that we keep Vincent close to our hip because he's been fabulous through this whole process. And I think we rely on him greatly for all sorts of things. And he's been very, very responsive and customer services friendly for everything that we've gone through along this path. So thank you, Vincent.
Vincent's my new best friend sometimes. Christine, would you like to add something?
Yeah, because one of the things, all of Jay's information was kind of what I was thinking on the outside looking in. And now that I am part of this, my concern is why we're having so many people leave and so much amounts leave. And I think it's mostly what Jay has been saying. We've seen a constant decline in the guarantee, and why? And so when I asked last time, why are these people leaving? They really didn't have an answer. And they said, well, if they move out of state, but I don't think every one of those people are moving out of the state. I don't even think they're leaving their house. So I just don't think that there's a lot of confidence right now with this company. So I'm all for what Jay and Fonse said, and Kathy.
I think that's
honestly,
a good
I'm sorry.
point.
What Kathy had said, if it wasn't for David, there was at least 3 people that came to me and said, I can't make heads or tails out of this stuff and I can't get anywhere. And if I just gave them David's number and David's email, and boom, they got better. But if it wasn't for David, there would be that many more people that were upset with the ability to get things changed. So, okay, I'm done.
Nancy, would you like to add anything?
I don't think I need to add anything. I may, because I do deal with David pretty directly, I've had my personal services taken care of adequately in the last year or two. But I always think that it's not a bad thing to go out for bid. So.
Okay. Matt? Just make sure everybody on the committee has a chance.
Sure. Sorry about that earlier. I had my another microphone on. Yeah, no, I'm all about competition and let the best firm win, and lower the fees, and the higher the return, the better it is for our plan participants. And it sounds like last time, it was about 5 years ago we RFP'd it.
Tammy?
Yes.
It was pre-Tammy and me, I think.
It was, but it was 5 years ago. Yes.
Yeah, we had pretty good turnout, and I would think we would be an attractive client with over $500 million in plan assets, and so let the best firm win.
Sounds like do we need a motion?
I think so.
So I guess the motion, I'll make it, is a 1 year extension so that we can do an RFP, and we do a full RFP during that time.
I take it we have no public comment?
I was going to check, but, and then we have our regular public comment. But Donna, do we have any public comment?
We're looking right now.
Thank you.
Before we accept Jay's motion, I'd like to turn it over to Vincent. Maybe he could elaborate a little bit before we go forward. Is that okay, Jay?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah.
More
Thank you,
information is better.
So, Fonse, when you say elaborate, meaning next steps or comparing the attractiveness of the offer, or what's?
No, I'm saying you hear the comments from the committee again. So we kind of look to you to advise us. Are there any pitfalls, or are there any issues that you see out there that we should be concerned of, or is there something out there that we
Are we missing something?
correct?
So, no, I think the only thing, and this is just something to be aware of, where we are in the interest rate cycle, the amount that's in the guaranteed interest account is subject to some liquidity provisions. And so as we go through the process, as the county goes through the process in the committee, I don't want to be presumptuous that we'll be involved, but as this process unfolds, the liquidity restrictions may be somewhat onerous. Again, it's already written in the contract. There's nothing you can do about it, but I don't want it to be a surprise that when the time comes to issue an RFP or potentially transition, that the liquidity restrictions with that GIA they may be severe. And I don't know if you want me to expand on that. I'm happy to.
Yes.
Please.
Okay, so how the liquidity restrictions are with all of these general account type products, and every insurance company, like I said, Nationwide, Prudential, Mass Mutual, they have these insurance products called general or guaranteed interest accounts. The liquidity restrictions at the plan level can be severe. And what I mean by that is, if the interest rate environment is such where interest rates are rising, there is a term called a market value adjustment. And so let's just say there's $200 million in the GIA at the county. Interest rates go up. The market value is no longer the 200 million. It's now, let's just say 150 million. If you transition to a new provider, that MVA could be pretty expensive. I'm using the extreme. It'll probably never be 50 million, but in theory, it could. It could be 500,000. It could be 25,000, or the county has an option of taking the distributions over 5 years. And so again, there's nothing you can do about it. This was all part of the legacy relationship and a trade-off for those relatively high rates. We discussed it 5 or 6 years ago. Other than that, there's nothing that I can see in terms of a pitfall.
Hey, can I jump in real quick, Vincent, for some clarity? So is that discount essentially getting less than $1 for $1 tied to the rates? Or is it tied to time, or is it considered a penalty? And the reason I ask the question is, if rates go up, values go down. So I could get it. If rates spiked up and they went up, 100 basis points, then the value of that pool would go from 100 to less than 100. Is that fair?
Correct. And it's not necessarily a penalty, because we just did this with a county north of you, and the MVA, despite a short uptick in rates recently, was 0. So they were happy to transfer it 100% at book with no penalty. It's all a function of interest rates and the duration of the portfolio of that general account.
So that can be managed. That's not an assume that you're going to get a haircut. And my guess is, if it can go to 0, it can probably go positive if you had the market go, or if the interest rate went for you as opposed to against you. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And
okay.
and the other thing, and the other thing too, and this was another county outside Sacramento that we did. This was probably 5 years ago, where there was an MBA, but it was small enough that the provider just simply said, it's not worth it to give you a slow trickle of 20% every year. Just take it at full book. So there is a little bit of math and a little bit of goodwill. Jay, this is the cruel math of a market value adjustment. If it's positive, they're not going to give you the premium. They'll give you at book. If it's negative, they may implement the market value adjustment. So it's stacked in the insurance company's favor.
So my guess is before this 1.9 trillion trickles its way through the economy and bumps rates, probably time is of the essence.
So this is potentially another thing that you may want to talk to them about, and I'm happy to facilitate the discussion, is take advantage of getting out of that product now. And this is the beauty of the transition with Empower. Empower has a 12-month product. And if you want, I can see that rate. I'm not even saying this is an option, but this is something that you may want to explore as you're opportunistic or strategic over the next 12 months to hopefully, maybe get out now.
Hey, Vincent, quick question. In your example there, that 200 million, is that 200 million restricted to the treasuries, or are they invested in any which way they want, and they're just giving us the guaranteed minimum there?
I want to say they're investing in anything they want, but given the conservative nature of an insurance company, I'm sure the duration of that bond portfolio is probably 2 to 5 years, and the average credit quality is, if not AAA, maybe AA. So certainly.
Okay, I'm back to you, Jay. I think you want to make your motion.
I forget what my motion was exactly, that we do the 1-year RFP, or we do the 1-year extension and look at an RFP. And I'm thinking we may need to add something to that motion about what we do with the guaranteed interest, because if we waited a year and rates spiked, I have a feeling the GIA is going to get hammered. Your thoughts, Vincent?
That's really tough to know, because basically what you would want to do is try and remove that, I guess, bet, because heaven forbid that there's another spike in cases, vaccine doesn't take, rates could actually trick down if more chunks of the economy shut down. So I would hate to make that guess of what rates are going to be like in 12 months. It would be more, do you just want to remove that guess from the table, move to a stable value fund, and line up the restriction of the proprietary fund with the contract of the provider, especially if you can get paid at 2.25 on a capital preservation stable value fund offered by Empower. That's my take on it. Like I said, I don't even know if they'd be willing to entertain that, but that's something that we could explore.
So let me ask you this. So let's say we wanted to do the 1-year extension with the RFP with the full intention of looking for greener pastures, and the 200 million was your money rather than our retirees' money in that GIA. What would you do?
So I always look at it like I have friends and family in the plans that I advise to. But I did. So that's, I guess, the way to address the second point. But Jay, can you repeat the first part about if there was 200 million in the GIA?
Right, and what and it was your money, your family and friends, however you want to phrase it. And what I'm saying is, it was personal to you. Would you let it ride until the dust settled on the RFP with the intention that we were going to want to yank that money out? And it may go up or down. And if it went in our favor, we'd get zero. That's kind of like heads I win, tails you lose. And, if it goes down, they win. If it goes up, it stays flat. With the risk of it going against us, or if you can get a parallel return on what you call the stable value, would you move it out now? But then you're kind of in the boat in order to make the move. and, you've protected yourself on the downside and you're looking for greener pastures. Is that a fair assessment?
Possibly. So here's, in an ideal world, what I would do. I would see if we moved 100% of the GIA at book value into Putnam stable value. Putnam stable value is returning more than 2.15%, and the pricing, that 9 basis point, doesn't change. I would do it and then issue the put immediately, so that in 12 months, the put period expires at the same time the record keeper contract expires. So all that money is liquid at book value in 12 months. That's what I would do, assuming that Empower allows us to do that.
All right. Well, I think before, I don't know how we do a motion here. I'm going to go to Matt and ask him, but I think that's something that we should absolutely do first, and then do a 1 year and do an RFP and move on. That would be however you'd put that into a motion. My recommendation.
Have we confirmed no public comment?
There was no public comment.
Okay. So your motion, Jay, is to move it?
We're going to need to do the 1 year RFP because we're painted into a corner, or a 1 year extension. We do the RFP, and as a condition of doing 1 and 2, however we word what Vincent just described, that we convert the GIA to the stable value with a put. I didn't know there was a put involved to protect that. Does that that's costing a premium, isn't it?
No, in fact, the opposite. In order to prevent a run on the fund, the wrap providers require up to 12-month notices of all stable value funds. And so that allows the portfolio to go a little bit longer durated and a little bit lower on. So it's actually a benefit. The trade-off is you just have to give 12-month advance notice.
Oh, which is what we got to do anyway.
Jay, what if your first and second item there, and maybe we leave off the third item and revisit that at a later date? Does that make it simpler?
I wouldn't think so. I think you'd want to do them all in concert.
Yeah, because
Well,
then
you can do the recommendation for the 1 year extension. That's what is agendized, and go out for RFP, and then you can agendize the further action that you want to take. That would be my advice.
So we can bring that to our next meeting, which is, I think we're right in between two, so it's not that far off.
When is the next meeting?
At the end of April, the last Thursday in April.
Okay.
So when does our 1 year start? If we agree to do the 1 year extension, because we want to coordinate this transfer with the expiration of our 1 year extension, right? That would be ideal.
Yeah.
If you can, yes.
Because I think we'd want to make clear we do the extension and go out for RFP, but we want to be clear what our next move is, and that's why I would put on another agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, May 1st is the contract end date.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So,
When's the next meeting?
April?
9.
Yeah, the end of April.
Oh, well, you got perfect time. So, I would say make the motion to whatever my first two were, to extend it for a year and then go for RFP. And then in April, I think Vincent maybe could put a little dog and pony show together over how this GIA transfer happens, so that everybody's comfortable with it before they actually pull the trigger. And then you're all lined up.
And that way it's properly agendized for anybody else that wants to comment.
this is Fonse. I'll second it.
Okay.
Donna, will you take the roll call? Excuse
I
me.
will. Okay. Brandy Hopkins,
Yes.
Matt Pollan,
Yes.
Christine Babb,
Yes.
Nancy Calkins,
Yes.
And Catherine Miller.
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimous. Okay.
Thank you. Donna, may I confirm that there is absolutely no public comment, so there's not any public comment related to anything else?
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Then our next meeting is, as Tammy said, Thursday, April 29th at 10 a.m. and we can adjourn. Thank you very much, everyone, for taking time out to help us out. We appreciate it.
Sure, thanks,
Thank you.
Brandy.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Alrighty,
Bye.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all.